Hi everyone, this is Zach, and I'm here to talk to you today about an introduction to R. So what is R? R is a programming language for statistical computing and graphics. R is also free and open source software. Free means you can get it without paying any money, and open source means that anyone can contribute to making R better for everyone. So let's discuss briefly the history of R. R is actually an implementation of another programming language called S. The second reason why it's called R is because it was created by Rwas and Robert, which two names that both start with R. The first version of R was released around 1995, and as it spread, more and more people started using it and even contributing packages, which is a package is something like an app, to the kind of package repository for R. So as of 2017, there are more than 10,000 packages that people have contributed to R. So why is it important to learn programming? I know most of you are business students and programming is not your favorite thing to do. So why are you required, in order to graduate with a degree in business operations management, to know programming? The reason is that computers are very important, and if you know some programming, you can automate some of your computing work. For example, let's say you need to do press buttons in Excel in your future job as a data analyst. If you know some programming, you can automate your job to make it much faster, either using VBA or R programming or perhaps some other language. So these skills are useful and can make your job easier and can increase your pay as well. Many of you have heard about how self-driving cars pose a danger to the livelihoods of those who drive taxis, and in the next 5 to 10 years we might see that happen. And I expect that in the same way, programmers or automated data analysis tasks might threaten your job in the future if you do not know and understand programming, at least at a basic level. Alright, so let's talk about why we want to use R in this course. The first reason is because R is designed as a statistical computing programming language. So it's very good at statistical computing because that's the whole reason R exists and is used. The second reason is that there's a large community of users or R users. So if you have any problems, encounter any problems when you're using R, you can find help by searching online. Finally, R is the lingua franca, which means of statistics. So basically, statisticians use R to communicate in terms of R code and R software and developing R packages. Whenever there's a new fancy statistical method, very quickly it will be implemented in R. So now let's discuss briefly why we don't use some other programming languages. First, let's start with Excel and VBA. Many of you know Excel, and it perhaps would be the easiest to teach the class using Excel. The reason why we don't use Excel is that although it's good for simple tasks, when you are trying to deal with more complex tasks, Excel quickly fails. Often Excel will corrupt or change your data under your nose, and also when you're trying to open or run files that have a lot of data and macros, Excel can be very, very slow. Now let's talk about proprietary software packages, environments like SAS, SPSS, or Stata. Firstly, these proprietary languages are expensive, so it costs a lot of money. This means that so although these languages may be commonly used in certain industries like banking or pharmaceuticals, in many other industries like small businesses or startups, they will not use these languages because they're just too expensive. A second problem is that these languages have a much smaller user base than R or Python, which are free and open source, because they're so expensive again. Finally, let's look at Python. Python is actually quite interesting. It's also free and open source, but it's a general purpose programming language, so it does not focus on statistics. And consequently, Python is good for many other things, but it's not the best at statistics, compared to R, which focuses primarily on statistics. There are also fewer packages in Python supporting data cleaning and statistics due to the more general nature of this language. However, ultimately, the most useful programming language for you will be the one that you need to use in your job. So often where you're working might have a favorite language, and you have to use whatever language your company requires you to use. The good news, however, is that programming languages are really very, very similar. When you learn one language well, it becomes very easy to pick up another programming language. Many of the skills or things that you learned in this course will be transferable to any other programming language you encounter in the future. An analogy is that it's similar to how, if you are proficient in Cantonese, and I know many of you are, it provides you with a big head start in learning Mandarin if you ever need to use it in the future. Alright, that's all for an introduction to R. I'll see you again next time. Bye!